the true story of this grandmother, a life shattered and rebuilt in flames. Teonila sat quietly in her sunlit studio, the smell of paint heavy in the air. But her mind was caught in a storm no brush could calm. At 83, her weathered hands trembled, not just from age, but from memory. The story she was about to tell wasn't just about a woman, but a web of betrayal that had spun itself deep into the heart of a small town. Everyone who knew Alfred called him a pillar of the community, a man of respect, honor even. But behind closed doors, his mask cracked, and what spilled out was nothing short of a wildfire. It started with whispers, rumors dissolving into rumors. Alfred and Clara. Clara, the daughter of Teonila's closest friend, a friendship built on decades of trust. The betrayal slammed into Teonila's chest like a fist. Her breath caught, her heart pounding as if trying to escape her ribs. The weight of the secret made the walls seem to close in tighter each day. She felt trapped. He gripped the brush like a lifeline. Each stroke screamed her agony. Reds that burned with rage, blues that sent deep like tears untold. Painting wasn't just art. It was her escape, her secret rebellion. Colors spilled, creating bursts of sorrow tangled with fierce strength. The world outside might never understand. But inside these paintings, her soul roared free. Confronting Alfred was a shatter and a shock. The bitter truth hit harder than she'd expected. Nothing would change. The promises were hollow echoes. His eyes, once full of warmth, were cold and distant, like a stranger wearing a mask. That moment shattered the last piece of her illusion, and with it, the future she'd hoped to build. Without looking back, Teonila made a choice. She sold everything. The house, the furniture, her old memories boxed away in silent piles. Together with her son, Jack, she stepped into the unknown, landing in a city pulsing with life and color. The noise, the crowds, it was everything she needed to rewrite her story. In this lively new place, Teonila's art blossomed into more than just paintings. It became a movement. She opened an art gallery that humbly stood as a sanctuary for women. A place where stories poured out like rivers, where pain met comfort, and where strength was built from shared scars. As word spread, her work caught the eyes of critics nationwide. Her canvases told tales of heartbreak and fierce renewal, tales that grabbed people by the collar and refused to let go. Jack, too, was flourishing, his music weaving into the very fabric of this new chapter. Watching him grow into a mentor, guiding younger artists, filled Teonila's heart with quiet pride. It was proof that out of the wreckage came life. But just when the embers of her past seemed to fade into ash, a visitor arrived, a shadow from that old life. Carrying news so startling, it forced Teonila to face something she'd buried deep. Who could dare? The air thickened with questions no one was ready to answer. Hey, before you continue with this incredible story, I have an important warning for you. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content. And while you're there, leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. And tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes a difference. Let's interact. The air thickened with questions no one was ready to answer. Teonila stood frozen, her heart pounding against her chest like a trapped bird. She narrowed her eyes at the visitor. Who was this unexpected face? Behind the silence, she felt the weight of the gallery. The artists, the stories, the paintings, watching her, judging her. The door creaked open wider, revealing a tall figure wrapped in shadows. It was a man she hadn't seen in over a decade, Lucas, her estranged brother. Shock rippled through the room like an electric current. Long gone from her life, He had chosen to sever ties, to vanish into the past. What could possibly bring him back now? Teonila, he began, his voice a haunting echo. Clarity hung in the air, yet all she could feel was the rush of old wounds reopening. I need to tell you something. The crowd murmured, eyes darting between them. Jack stepped forward, protective instincts flaring. You shouldn't be here, he snapped, his presence a shield. Teonila felt a tightness in her throat. She could see the anger radiating off Jack while she stood still, torn between rage and an aching curiosity. Lucas's gaze softened. It's about Clara, he started, but before he could finish, the room went silent, each person straining to catch his next words. Clara, what does she have to do with you? Teonila asked, her voice shaking. Memories of betrayal flooded her, Clara's laughter mingling with whispers of Alfred's deceit. Lucas swallowed hard, his hands trembling slightly, not from age, but from the burden of a secret that loomed heavy. She's not who you think she is. There's so much you don't know. What do you mean? Teonila demanded, a plea wrapped in panic. I never wanted to hurt you, but you deserve to know. He glanced at Jack, then back to her. Clara is your daughter, and Alfred, he's not just your friend. He's my father too. Time froze. Teonila felt the ground tilt beneath her. Her heart raced, racing through shock, confusion, and disbelief. The room spun, the art on the walls blurring as Lucas's truth sank in. A daughter thought lost, a betrayal more profound than she'd ever imagined. Was it possible? Could it be? No, she shrieked, the denial bursting forth like a dam breaking. That can't be true. You're saying Clara is? Yes, Lucas interrupted, his voice steady. Clara is your child. She was raised believing you abandoned her. After I took her as a baby, thinking it would keep you safe from Alfred's wrath. Gasps filled the gallery. They echoed like stones being thrown into a still pond, causing ripples of shock. Jack stepped back, his eyes wide in disbelief. The faces of other artists twisted with confusion and anger, whispers spiraling through the crowd like wildfire. Teonila felt her world. The air seemed to crackle with tension. Why now? Why tell me this now? She managed, voice barely a whisper. Lucas looked down, shame shadowing his features. Because you deserve to understand, and I owe you the truth. The gallery fell silent. Even the paintings seemed to listen. A hidden world was unraveling, one Teonila never knew existed. She felt fragile, standing at the edge of her own past, caught between the fiery pain of betrayal and the icy grip of new revelations. What was she supposed to do next? Each breath felt heavier, every heartbeat a reminder of uncertainty. Torn between disbelief and a desperate need to know more, Teonila looked at Lucas. What's going to happen now? No answer came, just the silence of the gallery, filled with questions that remained unanswered, hanging thick in the air. Teonila stood frozen, her heart pounding against her chest like a trapped bird. She narrowed her eyes at the visitor. Who was this unexpected face? Behind the silence, she felt the weight of the gallery, the artists, the stories, the paintings, watching her, judging her. The tension crackled in the air. The crowd murmured softly, and Jack, ever her protector, stepped forward. You shouldn't be here, he said, fists clenched, the rhythm of his voice steady but brimming with unspoken fury. Teonila felt the tightness in her throat, torn between anger and a painful curiosity that gnawed at her. Lucas took a shaky breath. I know I'm the last person you want to see, but it's about Clara. Before he could continue, a sudden loud crash cut through the air. The glass door of the gallery shattered, sending shards flying like silver rain. Gasps erupted as the crow. Teonila spun around, heart racing, eyes wide with disbelief. A figure staggered through the broken door, breathless, wild-eyed. It was Clara. In her arms, she held a small canvas covered in black paint, the edges smudged with streaks of red. "Mom, you have to listen to me!" Clara shouted, her voice raw and desperate. The gallery fell silent, the collective shock washing over everyone like a wave. Teonila's breath caught in her throat. This was her daughter, standing right there, the very person Lucas had just claimed was her child, and yet the world seemed to spin out of control. Clara's eyes darted around, frantic, searching for something, or someone. The tension and chaos twisted into an unexpected unity. The gallery's atmosphere shifted. All eyes were on Clara, the unspoken bond between mother and daughter crackling in the air. "I found something," she said, her voice trembling as she lowered the canvas. "Something that changes everything." "What are you talking about?" Teonila managed, moving forward slightly, urgency igniting a fire in her heart. Clara revealed the canvas, pulling back the cover. Beneath the dark layer, hidden colors emerged, swirling with life. Bright yellows, fierce oranges, deep purples. The colors of hope tangled with grief. "It's a painting of our past," Clara said. Voice barely a whisper. "A painting of the truth. I didn't know what it would uncover until today." Lucas stepped closer, bewildered. "What truth?" he asked, eyes narrowing, loss creeping into his expression. Clara took a shaky breath. "I had a vision, more like a memory. When I was young, I drew something while I was in the hospital. I didn't understand what it meant then, but today it all clicked. It's about our family, all of us intertwined in a way I never realized. It's not just Alfred. There's more, something darker at play." The crowd tensed, confusion spreading through them like wildfire. A murmur began to rise, fragments of disbelief interspersed with fear. Teonila felt her heart stop for a heartbeat. "What do you mean, darker?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, apprehension settling like ice in her veins. Clara's hands trembled as she grabbed Lucas's arm, her eyes wide with desperation. "I think we're in danger. From the past. From someone who doesn't want this truth to surface. Someone who has been watching." With each word, the atmosphere thickened, a sensation of impending dread swelling within. The gallery was no longer just an art space. It had turned into a stage for a hidden drama that could unravel them all. Just then, the lights flickered, and a loud bang reverberated through the building, nearly shaking the walls. Teonila's breath stopped short. She felt something cold settle in her stomach. "Get down!" Jack shouted, diving to protect Teonila as the crowd panicked, people shrieking and scrambling for cover. In an instant, the sanctuary of creativity and healing turned into chaos. Shouts filled the air. The gallery, once a place of rebirth, felt tainted, the threat of old sins resurfacing to haunt their new beginnings. Who was lurking in the shadows? What truth was Clara holding? As the world spun around her, Teonila felt trapped between past revelations and looming danger. The stakes were higher than ever. This was just the beginning, and every unanswered question left a knot in her chest, tightening with each passing moment. What lay ahead? Would they survive the storm? The chaos exploded around them. The glass door lay in shards, like broken dreams scattered across the floor. Clara stood at the center, her presence commanding attention despite the panic swirling. "Mom, you have to listen to me!" she cried, voice quaking. Teonila's heart raced as she locked eyes with her daughter, feeling a sense of urgency pulling her forward. "What are you talking about?" Just as Clara unveiled the canvas, a shot rang out, a thunderous crack that pierced the air. Time stretched, hearts stopped. The crowd gasped, fear coursing through every person present. Jack shouted, pushing his mother behind him, body tense and ready to shield her from whatever was hunting them. Clara ducked, her eye drawn to the commotion by the entrance. A figure stumbled in, clad in black, eyes blazing with chaotic intent. He raised a gun, its gleam reflecting the gallery's stark light. Silence fell, like a heavy curtain. smothering thoughts in a sea of shock. Lucas! Clara screamed as the man targeted her brother. In that heartbeat, the world shifted. Lucas, once estranged brother, lunged forward, but not toward Clara. Instead, he reached for the gunman. "Stop! It's not what you think." His voice cut through the tension, frantic and desperate. The crowd shrieked, pressed against walls, some dropped to the floor. Paintings lined the walls, capturing vibrant moments of hope and agony, now merely a backdrop to a nightmare unfolding. But Teonila felt a pull, a connection she couldn't ignore. "Who are you?" she shouted at the gunman. The fear in her voice sharpened. "Your truth has consequences," he snarled, the gun steady in his hand. Teonila froze, stunned. His words made no sense. What truth? What consequences? "I'm here for Clara," he bellowed. "You all think the lies are dead. I'll show you the monster born from betrayal." The gallery, echoing with gasps, ignited something primal within Teonila. Rage surged up her spine. "You don't know anything," she shouted, raw fury churning in her chest. As if fueled by her shout, the gunman hesitated. A flicker of doubt crossed his face. Teonila seized the moment. "You think you can play God with us? You think we're powerless? We are so much more than your chaos." She stepped forward, forcing him to look at her. "What are you going to do?" he sneered, his grip tightening on the gun. "You think art can save you?" Clara, still holding the darkened canvas, stepped closer. "It's not art, it's a truth." And then, in a shocking twist of fate, she ripped the canvas away, revealing a haunting image, a spectral figure towering over a younger Lucas, and a child that looked just like her. The figure's face twisted into a grotesque grin. The room collectively gasped again, horror painting every expression. "Who did you paint this for?" The gunman spat. "Your mother," Clara whispered, her voice breaking. "You have to understand. This is our past. The truth is darker than we thought." The gunman faltered, shock rippling through him. Teonila felt the air thicken again, realizing everyone had a connection to this twisted tapestry. Clara and Lucas weren't just victims. They were threads woven into a tale of retribution. As the weight of revelation sank in, the gunman lowered his weapon, doubt brewing in his eyes. "What are you saying?" His voice trembled now, fear battling fury. Teonila seized the moment. "Tell us your name," she demanded. "Tell us who you really are." With the weapon still aimed but wavering, the gunman stared back at her, breath coming in shallow gasps. I'm your brother," he stammered. The gallery erupted, eyes wide, mouths agape. The truth shattered in a way no one expected. Who were they battling? What secrets lay hidden under the skin of betrayal? Teonila felt reality slip, the edges blurring into uncertainty. "Everything you thought you knew, it's all backwards," he whispered, voice barely audible over the murmurs of the crowd. As tension clung thick in the air, a new storm brewed. What did it mean to face an enemy born of their own blood? What turned a sibling into a weapon? The answers hung like an unspoken promise, looming over them with a weight they couldn't ignore. The gallery held its breath as the truth hung heavy in the air. Teonila stood at the center, heart racing, desperately trying to piece the shattered fragments of her family together. "Your mother?" she echoed, disbelief lacing her words. The gunman swallowed hard, his eyes darting between Clara and Lucas, the weight of his revelation pressing down like a dark cloud. "I'm your brother," he rasped again, voice trembling. "Enough!" Teonila shouted, anger surging within her, desperate to regain control. "You're lying. You're manipulating us." But just as the words left her lips, a sharp clang echoed from the back of the gallery, like metal scraping against the floor. All heads turned, confusion spiraling into fear. From the shadows, a figure emerged, breathing heavily, eyes wild with terror. It was Alfred. "Get away from them!" he yelled, his voice thundering as he pushed through the crowd. Teonila's pulse quickened, memories flooding back, fear surging within her like a tidal wave. "What are you doing here?" she cried, fury igniting once more. "You're a monster. You have no right." "Calm down, Teonila," Alfred shouted, desperation lacing his words. "We don't have time for this." Her heart raced, conflicting emotions crashing within her. She wanted to scream, to run him out of her life for good. But something in his expression held her back, a glimmer of fear lurking behind his bravado. "I've seen something," he continued, stepping closer, trembling hands raised in peace. "It's not just about the past. It's about the future, and there's someone out there who wants all of you to suffer for what's been done." Gasps rippled through the crowd, as if a blade had sliced through their safety. Clara shook her head, backing away, eyes wide. "You think you can just walk back into my life and threaten us?" But before Alfred could respond, an explosion rocked the gallery, shaking the very foundations. The lights flickered violently, blinding everyone as chunks of plaster and debris rained down from the ceiling. Screams erupted. "Get down!" Jack yelled, pulling Teonila into his arms while chaos erupted. A scattering of bodies fell and scrambled toward the exits. Paintings, the very essence of Teonila's heart, shattered as dust filled the air. Amid the turmoil, Teonila struggled to breathe. Adrenaline surged. Fear clutched at her chest. Then she saw it, a flash of movement amid the chaos that made her heart drop. The gunman, his expression shifting from anger to sheer horror, turned sharply as shadows loomed behind him. He raised the gun again, but it was too late. A shadowy figure surged forward from the back, tackling him to the ground. A mask slipped off, revealing the familiar features of another face. It was Clara's long-lost father, the man who had cast a long shadow over her life, fought dead or vanished. "No, you can't hurt my family," he growled, a fierce protectiveness in his voice. The gallery froze, silence settling over the chaos. Teonila staggered back, disbelief flooding her mind. "What? How is this possible?" Clara stood frozen, torn between shock and an instinct to move. Alfred's eyes widened in realization, meeting the expression of the man she never knew existed. You're alive?" "Alive and floating, Alfred," he spat. "You thought you could bury the past and let it lie?" The secrets wrapped around them felt suffocating. Teonila's heart raced, the landscape of her life shifting underfoot. She had thought she knew everything, betrayals, hurts, even wounds that wouldn't heal. But now, as the brushstrokes of confusion and pain lay before her, the lines blurred. Was everything they thought to be true, every pain, every lie, standing on the precipice of being rewritten? With the weight of generations pressing down, the revelation hung in the air, leaving everyone to wonder. What do they really know? What happens next? The storm was far from over, shadows still lurking, secrets waiting to unfold. The gallery held its breath, the air thick with disbelief. Teonila felt the shards of her reality crack beneath her feet. "Your mother?" she repeated, searching his eyes for truth. But fear twisted her gut like a vice. The gunman took a step back, uncertainty flooding his expression. "Yeah, it's true. I'm your brother, Clara and Lucas's brother too." He raised the weapon again, but the weight of his own words seemed to paralyze him. "Enough!" Teonila cried, heart pounding. "You can't just walk in here and drop a bombshell like that." Behind her, Clara's breath hitched, realization stinging her like ice. Jack's protective stance only tightened. "Get away from both of them," he growled to the gunman, fury etched across his face. The crowd shifted, fear igniting a wildfire of whispers around them. What kind of twisted family reunion was this? "I have to tell you," the gunman began, his voice barely registering over the mounting panic. But just then, the lights flickered again, and a loud shout pierced the air. "Hold it right there!" A police officer burst through the door, gun drawn. The scene exploded into chaos, a kaleidoscope of movement and sound. Everyone on the ground. Teonila felt the world tilt. Officers flooded in, creating barriers between the gunmen and the rest. The echo of police radios and shouting voices mixed with the shrill cries of the gallery-goers. People dropped to the floor. Paintings hung precariously on the walls. The comfort of art turned into a backdrop of terror. "Stop right there," the officer shouted again, eyes narrowed on the gunman. Clara's father instinctively moved to shield his daughter, confusion spreading like fire. In that moment of panic, the gunman's stance faltered. "Please, don't," he shouted, desperation leaking through his bravado. "I'm not here to hurt anyone." "Then put down the weapon," the officer demanded, advancing with calculated authority. In that moment, Teonila spotted something flickering in the gunman's eyes. A glimmer of fear that twisted into something else, something dark and familiar. Her heart raced as she took a step forward, trying to piece together the puzzle. "What are you talking about?" she urged. Before he could respond, the gunman jerked sharply, lifting the weapon again as if in defense. A flicker of recognition crossed his face, and suddenly he turned, redirecting the gun toward Lucas and Clara. "You think you can just have a happy family? You don't even know the truth!" But just as he spoke, there was a loud crack, and the gun fired. Time stretched, the sound echoing like a death knell. Clara screamed, but the bullet didn't find her. Instead, it ricocheted off the wall, shattering a nearby painting, the chaos erupting like a bomb. "Get down!" someone shouted, but the chaos swelled. Then an earth-shattering crash came from above as the ceiling began to fracture, dust raining like a storm. The gunman's eyes widened in horror. The chaos spiraled as everything flipped upside down. In the frenzy, Teonila caught a flash of movement. A woman emerged from the crowd. Someone unfamiliar, yet hauntingly familiar. The gunman's face paled further, eyes locked onto her. "You shouldn't be here," he yelled, panic twisting his features. "Stop this madness," she shouted, her voice strong and unwavering. "You're not who you think you are." Stunned, everyone silenced, tension hanging thick. The gunman faltered. "What do you mean?" he breathed, confusion cracking his fury. And then she spoke, voice steady. "You're not the brother you think you are. You are not even related to them." A collective gasp erupted in the gallery. Teonila felt her heart drop. What did it mean? The pieces of her family, everything she thought she knew, now held shadows beyond comprehension. The gunman trembled, uncertainty flooding his expression. "What?" he stammered, taking a step back. "What do you mean?" As the chaos swirled, the woman's words echoed hauntingly through Teonila's mind. Who was she? What did she know? Secrets hung thick, setting the stage for a storm that threatened to engulf them all. In that moment, everything shifted. The path she thought she was on dissolved, leaving only the question lingering in the air. What is the truth? And who will surrender to the darkness? The gallery held its breath, and Teonila felt reality crack beneath her. Her heart raced as uncertainty flooded the air. "Your mother?" she echoed, desperately searching his eyes for confirmation. But fear twisted her gut like a rope. The gunman took a step back, uncertainty flashing across his face. "Yeah, it's true. I'm your brother, Clara and Lucas's brother too." He raised his weapon again, yet the weight of his own words seemed to paralyze him. "Enough," Teonila shouted, anger surging inside her, craving control. "You can't just waltz in here and unleash chaos." Behind her, Clara's breath hitched. Shock painted her features as Jack's protective stance tightened. "Get away from them," he barked. Fury etched across his face. Whispers swirled in the crowd, panic spreading like wildfire. What kind of twisted family reunion was this? "I have to tell you," the gunman started, his voice breaking through the mounting panic. But just then the lights flickered again, shadows dancing as a loud crash echoed. "Hold it right there!" A police officer stormed through the door, weapon drawn. The scene exploded into chaos, voices colliding amidst palpable fear. "Everyone down!" Teonila felt the world tilt. The gallery transformed, paintings forgotten, art swallowed by terror. People dropped to the floor and an officer yelled for calm, but chaos was a wave crashing in every direction. "Stop!" Clara's father shouted, instinctively moving to shield his daughter, face twisting with confusion. It all felt surreal, yet it was happening. You thought you could bury the past? Not today. Not anymore. The uncertainty in the gunman's eyes deepened. Just when the tension boiled over, Teonila caught a flicker of movement at the back of the gallery. Another figure stepped into view, panic radiating from them. "Alice!" the gunman gasped, eyes wide in disbelief. Teonila blinked, her heart skipping a beat. The woman, with familiar but unrecognizable features, stepped forward with fierce determination. "You don't get to destroy our lives," she said, voice steady. "Alice?" Teonila whispered, memories all flaring up. This was the woman she had known long ago, once a close friend. But now something was different, something dark clouding her presence. "What are you saying?" "I'm your mother," Alice declared, and the room fell into a stunned silence. People gasped, breathing froze in disbelief, shock painted on every face. The gunman staggered back, disbelief racking his frame. "No, you can't be." But the weight of her words clung to the room, wrapping everyone in thick silence. "I abandoned you to protect you," Alice continued, shame spilling from her voice. "But I shouldn't have run. I should have fought." Panic surged within Teonila. Her heart drummed in her ears as she took a step back. "This is insane." "What do you mean?" The ground felt unsteady beneath her. "I was in love." Alice's voice quivered as tears shimmered in her eyes. But it was never just about love. Alfred was part of a secret, a darkness I couldn't see, and that darkness is this family. Her words hung in the air, fragile and heavy. The gallery became a void, chains of history clinking together. Everything Teonila knew was sliding into a chasm. Old truths were buried beneath layers of new lies. "Why now?" the gunman shouted, anguish etched into his expression. "You can't change what happened." With each beat, every heartbeat tore at the unraveling story. Teonila felt something snap within her, a desperate need to understand. "Who are we really?" she screamed into the chaos, yearning for clarity. Alice's eyes shook with pain as despair echoed through the gallery. Teonila stood there, breathless, gazing at the body of shattered connections. The shadows danced, lurking at the edges, threatening to consume them whole. In that fragile moment of truth, the past loomed like a specter. A new storm brewed on the horizon, and as the weight of everything settled, Teonila was left wondering, what really lurked beneath the surface? What was the true nature of family and betrayal? The answers felt elusive, dancing just out of reach. The gallery held its breath as the truth hung heavy in the air. Teonila felt reality crack beneath her. Her heart raced as uncertainty flooded the room. "Your mother?" she echoed, desperately searching the gunman's eyes for confirmation. But fear twisted her gut like a tightening rope. The gunman took a shaky step back, uncertainty flashing across his face. "Yeah, it's true. I'm your brother, Clara and Lucas's brother too." He raised the weapon, but the weight of his own revelation seemed to freeze him in place. "Enough!" Teonila shouted, a surge of anger pushing her forward. Craving control. "You can't just walk in here and drop a bombshell like that." Behind her, Clara gasped, shock gripping her features like a vice as Jack stepped in front, fists clenched and ready to protect them both. "Get away from them," he growled, inexorably fierce. Whispers ignited among the crowd, panic swirling like leaves in a storm. What an unexpected family reunion this was. "I have to tell you," the gunman tried again, his voice breaking under pressure. Just then, the lights flickered ominously, plunging the room into darkness for a brief heartbeat. A loud crash reverberated from the entrance, scattering echoes that ricocheted like trapped spirits. "Hold it right there," A police officer burst through the door, gun drawn, eyes scanning the chaos. Everyone down. Teonila felt her heart lurch as fear flooded the space. The gallery, once a sanctuary, morphed into a battlefield. Bodies dropped to the floor, shouting and scrambling as officers rushed in, authority clashing with panic. Paintings hung precariously on the walls, the vibrant colors fading in the fray. The gunman's face paled as he steadied the weapon, his resolve shaken. "I'm not here to hurt anyone," he shouted, desperation cracking through bravado. But just then, from the sudden stillness, a familiar voice cut through the din. "That's not true." A figure materialized from the shadows, cloaked in an air of defiance. "You never cared about us." Everyone turned. It was Alice, Teonila's once close friend, her face a mask of fury and pain. The sight of her stirred something deep within Teonila, a mix of long-buried memories and fresh confusion. "Alice?" Teonila managed, her own voice shaking. "What are you doing here?" "I came to stop this madness," Alice shouted, storming toward the gunman, unyielding. "You're running blind into a trap. This is about so much more than you think." The officer's grip on his weapon wavered, caught in the raw tension of the moment. "Ma'am, you need to stand back." But Alice didn't falter. "He doesn't even know it's not just him. It's about all of us." She turned, locking eyes with Teonila. "About your family. The lies, the betrayals. They go deeper than you imagined." "What are you talking about?" Teonila's heart raced. A whirlwind of uncertainty swept through the gallery as her breath came in sharp gasps. Then, with a sudden and explosive motion, Alice pointed toward the gunman. "You were never meant to live with that burden. It's not just Alfred's shadow looming over you. Our past is intertwined with something darker, something so deeply buried that it could ruin us all." A collective gasp echoed through the crowd, eyes wide with shock. The tension reached its tipping point, and just like that, the gunman's resolve crumbled. "No, you can't be saying this," he stammered, disbelief washing over him. But before anyone could process it, Alice's words acted like a match striking fire. The gallery lights flickered again, and a tremor ran through the floor. Suddenly, the walls began to shake, pictures rattling like forgotten whispers begging to be heard. A loud crack split the air, and plaster dust fell, swirling in a haze of chaos. "Get down!" someone yelled, shouts mixing with the uproar as panic reignited. Teonila stumbled, clutching her chest as fear clawed at her. Art, hope, and memories hung suspended in disbelief. The lights flickered one last time before plunging the gallery into darkness. In that moment, everyone seemed to freeze, caught between fear and confusion. And then, a deafening roar erupted as the roof began to split apart, threatening to collapse. "Run!" Jack yelled, shoving Teonila towards the exit. But as she rushed forward, a chilling realization gripped her. The truth behind it all, the connections, the lies, the terror, was just beginning to reveal itself. Amid the cries and chaos, Teonila cast one last look back, catching Alice's eye amidst the smoke and debris. Whatever was happening was about to change everything. Was this the end, or merely the beginning of a storm they could never escape? The questions loomed, heavy and unanswered, as the gallery fell further into chaos. The gallery held its breath as the truth hung heavy in the air. Teonila felt reality crack beneath her. Her heart raced as uncertainty flooded the room. "Your mother?" she echoed, desperately searching the gunman's eyes for confirmation. What fear twisted her gut like a tightening rope. The gunman took a shaky step back, uncertainty flashing across his face. "Yeah, it's true. I'm your brother, Clara and Lucas's brother too." He raised the weapon, but the weight of his own revelation seemed to freeze him in place. "Enough!" Teonila shouted, a surge of anger pushing her forward, craving control. "You can't just walk in here and drop a bombshell like that." Behind her, Clara gasped, shock creeping her features like a vice as Jack stepped in front, fists clenched and ready to protect them both. "Get away from them," he growled, inexorably fierce. Whispers ignited among the crowd, panic swirling like leaves in a storm. What an unexpected family reunion this was. I have to tell you, the gunman tried again, his voice breaking under pressure. Just then, the lights flickered ominously, plunging the room into darkness for a brief heartbeat. A loud crash reverberated from the entrance, scattering echoes that ricocheted like trapped spirits begging to be heard. "Hold it right there!" A police officer burst through the door, gun drawn, eyes scanning the chaos. "Everyone down!" Teonila felt her heart lurch as fear flooded the space. The gallery, once a sanctuary, morphed into a battlefield. Bodies dropped to the floor, shouting and scrambling as officers rushed in, authority clashing with panic. Paintings hung precariously on the walls, the vibrant colors fading in the fray. The gunman's face paled as he steadied the weapon, his resolve shaken. "I'm not here to hurt anyone," he shouted, desperation cracking through bravado. But just then, from the sudden stillness, a familiar voice cut through the din. "That's not true." A figure materialized from the shadows, cloaked in an air of defiance. "You never cared about us." Everyone turned. It was Alice, Teonila's once close friend, her face a mask of fury and pain. The sight of her stirred something deep within Teonila, a mix of long-buried memories and fresh confusion. "Alice?" Teonila managed, her own voice shaking. "What are you doing here?" "I came to stop this madness," Alice shouted, storming toward the gunman, unyielding. "You're running blind into a trap. This is about so much more than you think." The officer's grip on his weapon wavered, caught in the raw tension of the moment. "Ma'am, you need to stand back." But Alice didn't falter. "He doesn't even know. It's not just him. It's about all of us." She turned, locking eyes with Teonila. "About your family, the lies, the betrayals. They go deeper than you imagined." "What are you talking about?" Teonila's heart raced. A whirlwind of uncertainty swept through the gallery as her breath came in sharp gasps. Then, with a sudden and explosive motion, Alice pointed toward the gunman. "You were never meant to live with that burden. It's not just Alfred's shadow looming over you. Our past is intertwined with something darker, something so deeply buried that it could ruin us all." A collective gasp echoed through the crowd, eyes wide with shock. The tension reached its tipping point, and just like that, the gunman's resolve crumbled. "No, you can't be saying this," he stammered, taking a step back. "What do you mean?" Before anyone could process it, Alice's words acted like a match striking fire. The gallery lights flickered again, and a tremor ran through the floor. Suddenly, the walls began to shake, pictures rattling like forgotten whispers begging to be heard. A loud crack split the air, and plaster dust fell, swirling in a haze of chaos. "Get down!" someone yelled, shouts mixing with the uproar as panic reignited. Teonila stumbled, clutching her chest as fear clawed at her. Art, hope, and memories hung suspended in disbelief. The lights flickered one last time before plunging the gallery into darkness. In that moment, everyone seemed to freeze, caught between fear and confusion. And then, a deafening roar erupted as the roof began to split apart, threatening to collapse. "Run!" Jack yelled, shoving Teonila towards the exit. But as she rushed forward, a chilling realization gripped her. The truth behind it all, the connections, the lies, the terror, was just beginning to reveal itself. Amid the cries and chaos, Teonila cast one last look back, catching Alice's eye amidst the smoke and debris. Whatever was happening was about to change everything. Then it happened. An explosion. Not the kind from destruction, but from the revelation that echoed louder than the blast. Alice's voice, sharper than glass, called out, "Teonila, you need to know, your sister is alive." Time stopped. The impact of her words shattered everything. Teonila's heart dropped. Her world unraveled completely. "A sister? Alive? What?" she whispered in shock. In the chaos, the gunman's face morphed into a mask of terror, No, no, how could you? He screamed, the weapon falling from his grip as he took a step back, swallowing hard. Your sister is the key, Alice insisted, a fire behind her eyes. She holds the truth of our past. Teonila's mind spun, her body frozen in place. Just when she thought she'd uncovered the depth of pain and betrayal, more layers pressurized her heart, layers she didn't even know existed. The fireworks of revelation ricocheted through her, lighting every corner with shock. The gallery trembled between chaos and revelation. What else had been hidden? The family she thought she knew. Who were they really? As the roof cracked further, leaving jagged openings gaping for the sky, Teonila braced herself for the storm ahead. What was next? What waited in the shadows, lurking, ready to surface? The questions loomed, and the truths felt poised to break free, threatening to consume everything in their wake. The rumble of the chaos spiraled around them, but in that moment, everything slowed for Teonila. The noise faded into a distant echo, and the weight of Alice's words crushed her chest. Your sister is alive. The very phrase spun in her mind, looping through every fear, every question, and every loss she had ever felt. Tell me everything, Teonila shouted, her voice raw and desperate. Is she here? Where is she? Alice moved closer, urgency lining her features. I didn't know until recently, but she's out there. She's the key to understanding all of this. The darkness, Alfred, it all ties back to her. As fear pulsed through Teonila, the gallery swayed, the ceiling creaked ominously, dust swirling in the air like ghosts of betrayal. The crowd, sensing the building tension, gasped in collective fear, their wide eyes darting between the gunman and Alice. Lucas pulled Clara closer, shielding her with his body. We can't let this happen, he urged, determination evident in his voice. But before anyone could react, the roof above them seemed to shudder, plaster crumbling down like confetti, dusting the already fraught atmosphere. Everyone, we need to evacuate, an officer shouted, rushing into the chaos, creating a path for the frightened onlookers. Stay back, the gunman shouted, clutching his temples, spiraling deeper into overwhelming confusion. None of you understand. Alice stepped forward, unyielding. Then let us help you. Just put the weapon down and we'll figure this out together. The words struck a chord. In that moment, the gunman hesitated, his weapon shaking in his grip. His defenses crumbled as he trembled, eyes glistening with a desperate kind of fear. Do you think I wanted this? He choked out, the anger fading, replaced by something softer, shame. I was raised in a world of lies, haunted by the shadows of betrayal. Just like us, Teonila whispered, her heart breaking for this lost soul. And suddenly, he dropped the gun. It clattered against the ground, a shocking finality that rang out throughout the gallery. The stunned silence that followed was layered with both relief and uncertainty. Now we move forward together, Alice said, confidence replacing uncertainty. With the threat diminished, the crowd began to breathe again. Yet before the chaos could fully subside, the gallery trembled again, shaking dust from the rafters. Let's get out of here, Jack urged, tugging Teonila's arm. But as Teonila glanced back at the gunman, she felt a spark of compassion. Wait, what's your name? She asked gently. David, he replied, voice trembling, still shaken. We'll help you, David, she promised. All of us. But we need to find her first. Your sister is in hiding. She needs to know what happened, David said, urgency resounding in his voice, as the walls began to crack again. She's the only one that can save us from the shadows. Teonila felt a surge of focus. This wasn't just about her heart now. It was about unraveling everything that had kept them trapped. Then let's find her, she declared, standing tall. Together, they surged through the gallery, chased by dust and confusion, but filled with hope. They didn't know what lay ahead, but there was strength in their numbers. As they stepped outside, the sunlight hit them like a wave of warmth. A sense of renewal filled the air. "We will find her," Teonila promised, glancing back at her newfound family. Secrets would be uncovered, truth would emerge, and maybe, just maybe, there would be a future waiting for all of them on the other side. But the question lingered. Who was her sister, and what kind of darkness had she fled from? Even as they faced the dawn, the story was far from over. To everyone reading this, you must subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive story. Click that like button now to feed the algorithm the love it needs. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And don't wait another second to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who are dying to know how it all wraps up. Your support is everything. Show us what true fans do.